Hello, this is Bryce Strine, and this is my second video recording. So on the first problem, we have f of x equals negative x minus 1 plus 4. And the first question was asking if the parabola opens up or down, and I came to the conclusion that it opens down since the leading coefficient right here is less than 0. Even though there's no number there, we can assume that that is always 1 because 1 is the placeholder when there's no number there. So that's a negative 1. A negative 1 is less than 0, so it opens down. On to B. B, we're going to find the vertex. To find the vertex, I used the vertex is the centermost top point of the problem. I used the modifiers. So here we have H. I labeled out A, H, and K. So K is how much it moves along the y-axis. How much it moves up and down. This is a +4 modifier, meaning it's going up 4 points in the y direction. H is a little different because it's the same thing on x, but it's actually opposite. So even though this is a negative 1, this means it's going to move 1 in the right direction because this sign changes for the H. And if this was a positive 1, then this 1 would be moving to the left. For C, we're going to find the x-intercept. So to do this, I put a 0 in for y. So f of x is y. So we have 0 equals negative times x minus 1 squared plus 4. So to figure this out first, I broke x minus 1 squared down. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. And then I factor this out. I got x squared minus 1x plus 1. Got that down to negative 2x plus 1. And then I put this back in the equation. So here we have this, but we have a negative in front of it from up here. And then the +4 from up here. I brought this down for the x-intercept. Because the x-intercept, I added the negative 1 and 4 together, and I got 3. And then yet again, the placeholder is negative 1. The x-intercept I got from the leading coefficient and the last number. For the y-intercept, it's pretty much the same thing, except I'm putting a 0 in for x. I forgot an r there, but so we have y equals negative 0 minus 1 squared plus 4. So, 0 minus 1 is still a negative 1, but a negative 1 squared is a positive 1. And then a positive 1 with the negative sign out of it times a negative 1 is then a negative 1. Negative 1 plus 4 is a 3. So I came up with the y-intercept being a 3. And the reason I was able to take this one the whole way down to one number is because this is just a single intercept. This one did not break down to one single number because there are 2 intercepts here. The domain. So domain and range kind of tie together, but this was only asking for the domain. Domain, I found it to be infinite because the domain runs along the x-axis. Since this is a parabola opening down, the domain is infinite as it is constantly going. It's basically like that. So it's constantly going this way and this way infinitely, gaining ground along the x-axis. And then the maximum and minimum value. There is no minimum value because it opens down. It means it is infinitely expanding downwards. but the maximum value would have to be the vertex, which I concluded it was 1, 4. All right, and on to problem number 2. So here's the second problem. G of x equals x minus 2 times x plus 4 squared times x minus 1. So the first question was asking the end behavior, and this by far was the hardest one. Excuse me as I reposition here. So to find the end behavior, I have to factor everything together. X minus 2 plus x plus 4, and then times x minus 1. X plus 4 is listed twice because remember it's squared up here. So the first thing I did was actually get the x plus 4 together, squared, over here. I came out with x squared plus 4x plus 16, add it together, 8x there. I pull it back up in here. So then I take the x minus 2, times it by this equation. So I kind of just, x times x squared is x3, x times 8x is 8x squared, x 16x, 2 is then negative 2x, negative 6x, negative 32, add it all together. I came up with x squared plus 6x minus 32. Lastly, I had to take this then equation, times x minus 1. So I then times x to the third power to x, get the x to the fourth power, x to the third power minus 1, negative x to the third, then 6x squared times x to the third power, 6x, so on and so on, 32x, and then a negative 32 times a negative 30 times a negative 1 is a positive 32. So here I have the final equation, since the largest exponent